Hello, and welcome to English 201, Section W01, Early American Literature. I just wanted to give you guys a brief overview, kind of orientation to the course, something I would normally do in a face-to-face class, so I figured that it would be helpful for y'all as well as online students. I am in student preview mode right now, so what we're looking at in this video should be what you see when you go into the course. Should be the best representation of that. So I just want to take you through a few important places to visit once you're in the course and starting to look around. So I've got the initial announcement. We'll talk about announcements and how they're going to feature into the course this semester, but there's the kind of welcome announcement. It's got some information about the course, but also initial tasks, how attendance is going to work, things like that, just important things to know going into the class. So please make sure to take some time to read that. Also, it talks about the first graded assignment of the semester, which we'll get to in a second. I've got an announcement about the late assignment policy, how makeup and late work works in the course, so you're aware of that. Some information about a couple of tests, not tests 1 and 2 if you've already looked at the course plan, but some separate tests that are required by the English department for assessment purposes. You need to complete those to a certain standard, and basically until you do, you won't be able to see some graded assignments. There's much more detail about that in the announcement, but please make sure you look at it as soon as possible. Okay. Also some information about Grammarly. If you're not familiar with Grammarly, I'm basically encouraging all my students to use it, and I've got some information about how to download the free version. You definitely don't need to pay for it. The free version is really good. I use it all the time, and I hope you will as well. There's really no reason not to. It's a great tool. Some information about accommodating special needs. If that is, if you are registered with the Student Disabilities Office, please make sure to read through that and contact me accordingly. Okay, so announcements are going to be made weekly. There's going to be like a weekly announcement at the start of every week that's just going to talk about, okay, here's what's due, here's what you're reading, but also anything that may have popped up, since the previous week, some suggestions or advice or things that, I might have noticed that I want to make y'all aware of with your assignments, rather than, if there's an issue, I'll let y'all know that way. So please check the announcements regularly. I will also email out those announcements as well, but if you don't check them, they won't help you. Okay, so moving on, instructor info. This is contact information for me, for your professor, including my phone number and my email address. Email is the best way to get in touch with me, since I'm not always in the office to answer my phone, and like most people of a certain age, I'm not a huge fan of voicemail. I mean, if you have to leave me one, that's fine. But really, email is the best way to contact me. I do check it pretty regularly, pretty often throughout the day, so you can expect a fairly quick response if it's during the week. Weekends are another story, because as you can see, I've got a family. That's us in the corner, so weekends are my son's time. I'm sure you understand. But Monday through Friday, I'm all yours. Speaking of office hours, so those are student hours. Those are for y'all as much as any face-to-face students I have. You are always welcome to come by and talk to me about what you're working on, any problems you may be having, questions you may have. You don't have to wait until things are hard and you're struggling or you're not getting the grades that you want or feel you deserve. I would much rather have a chat with you before you turn in an assignment, just to make sure things are going in the right direction so you feel confident about it, than to have to talk about what went wrong after the fact. So please do, if you can, come see me. We'll have a cup of coffee or tea or whatever. I don't bite. But I understand that not everybody can do that. So again, there's email and to a lesser extent phone. So please use me as a resource. I am here for you. All right. Syllabus and info. So this is a really important spot. It's got a lot of important official documents, probably the most important being the one at the top. So I did send out a copy of the course plan, used to be called a course schedule. Before that it was called a syllabus. They just keep changing the name for some reason. That had the readings, information about the textbooks, all that kind of stuff. It's this version here where it says revised is very similar to that. The readings are the same, textbook, all that important stuff is essentially the same, but I've had to make a couple of tweaks to adjust for those MLA and grammar tests. So this copy of the course plan is the one that you should go by, please, and thank you. All right, so go ahead and download that and make it your crystal ball into the future. It's got tons of really important stuff in it that you need to be referencing regularly. And obviously there's information about the textbooks you'll need for the class. Again, there are 2 volumes of the textbook. You do need both. So there's stuff about those so you can find them. I believe they're packaged together at the bookstore, but if you don't go through the bookstore for whatever reason, you've got the info you need to find them. Let me know if you have any problems with that. There is a breakdown of how the grade is going to be calculated, like the grade scheme, what the assignments are worth, how many there are, a calendar basically that has the due dates for, when you need to have done certain readings by, what readings you need to do, what page numbers are on, all that, the different units of the course, and when certain graded assignments are due. Any changes that are made to the course plan, I'm going to make an announcement, and if I have to change a due date for whatever reason, obviously I'll never move it forward to the future. It'll be pushed off. I'm not planning on doing that, but if for some reason we have to, that will be reflected in the Blackboard calendar tool, which automatically updates with any changes made. This is a static document, so I don't plan to make any changes to it. Okay, so if anything changes, the Blackboard calendar, which is available at assignments, is the one that you should look at. So let me know if you have any questions about this document, or how the whole reading schedule is going to work. I think it's fairly straightforward. I list the page numbers, which volume it's in, and all that. But if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Maybe don't wait until Sunday night to do it either, because I probably won't get back to you in time. Just saying. The course syllabus, that's got stuff about, sort of generic policies pertaining to English 201, not necessarily our section. There's also a blank copy of the student information sheet here. You do need to download it, fill it out, and send me the completed copy by email within the first week. So please make sure you do that. I do need it. I'm not going to call you at home or anything, but I do need that information. Thank you. There's some information about the online attendance policy, which has changed since last semester. So if you've taken online classes before, there's been some pretty significant changes, basically in terms of, if there are multiple assignments due in the same week, how is the attendance calculated? So please make sure you look at that. Of course, you're going to turn everything in, so it doesn't really matter, right? Well, still worth a look. There is a copy of the English Department's Civil Discussion Policy, and you must read through it, familiarize yourself with it before you post to any discussion boards, but especially our first introductory one, because we want to make sure we have a civil first discussion that makes everyone feel welcome and doesn't set the wrong tone for the beginning of the class. So please make sure you read through that. There's some policies here from the English department pertaining to all kinds of stuff, including makeup policies and things like that, which are also in the announcements. The division policies, it's a super long document, but if you feel like reading it, go for it. Some important dates, holidays, things like that, but we're online, so it's not that important. But things like last day to withdraw and stuff like that, you may want to know. Speaking of, if you're really not liking the sound of my voice, this would probably be a good time to maybe take a different 201 class, because I'm going to be passing on a lot of information, our lecture content, basically through videos. So if this is just not doing it for you, if you don't think you could tolerate this all semester, that's okay. No hard feelings. I understand. But yeah, might not be the class for you. That's okay. It's ad drop, so you've still got time. There's also a link to information for our campus writing center. We actually have them at all of our campuses, but that's a place where you can go and get one-on-one help with writing assignments if you choose to do so. It's not an online service. It is an actual, you have to go there physically in person, but this is where you'd schedule an appointment, and there's more information about that there. If you choose to use that resource, I may recommend it to you. Through the semester, I understand not everybody can get to campus, and that's why you're taking classes online, but it's there if you need it. Okay, course content. So there's a lot going on in here. I've got up here a folder that has a bunch of different tutorials, basically taken from the OWL at Purdue website. It's good stuff. I didn't see any reason to reinvent the wheel on that. Covering all things related to citing, quoting, works cited, all that kind of stuff. So there's also a guide that is specifically for literature that was compiled by one of our faculty members in the English department, not me. But it's also got some really helpful stuff in there too. So if you need a refresher, that's where you can go. So probably wouldn't be a bad idea to check it out. I've also got some screenshots here that walk you through how to access and use our college's online library databases, since they are an excellent resource for the kind of research that you're going to need to do this semester. And it just walks you through how to use those and how to do effective searches. So make sure to check it out. There's a grammar review and tutorial if you would like to look at that, particularly before the grammar test. If you need a refresher, same with the MLA documentation test. If you need a refresh in there, you can. Course learning units. Okay, so this is the actual course content in terms of material related to the literature. This is lecture material basically. So I've got some notes here for you about how these course units work. As you can see, there's only 2 up right now. That's because I am still in the process of converting my face-to-face lectures to videos, which is time-consuming. But I've got the first 2 units available for you, and so that should give me plenty of time to get caught up. I'll probably have unit 3 up by the end of next week, honestly. But I appreciate your patience while I work on that. So let's just take a look inside one of these units. Okay, so the units will vary somewhat in what's inside. There may be some supplementary resources like this map here. There may be some corresponding videos, which I'll talk about in just a second. The lecture videos and the PDF of the PowerPoint. Okay, so I say lecture videos before you panic. The reason it's plural is that I'm using Screencast-O-Matic to make these, and it only allows you to do 15 minutes of recording at a time, turns out, unless you pay, which I'm not going to. So each one of these video segments is no longer than 15 minutes. So before you panic and think, oh my gosh, I'm going to have hours and hours and hours of listening to this lady drone on and on. No, it's not that bad. And I'm sorry, I wish I could put them all together somehow, but nobody wants to watch videos that are much longer than 15 minutes at a pop anyway, right? But if you do have any trouble with viewing these, they're embedded in Blackboard. If you have trouble with viewing them for whatever reason, please let me know and we'll figure out how to get you access another way, because they are on YouTube. So there's a PDF version of the PowerPoint that I show in the video, so that you don't have to feel like you have to write down every single thing I said. I do talk kind of quickly sometimes, I understand. So you can go back and look at this document for content, later on if you need to. I'll always have one of these to go with the lecture videos for you. I guess you could just look at that and maybe not watch the videos, but I don't think you'd get as much out of it, really. I hope not anyway. That would make me feel a little obsolete. I know you wouldn't get as much out of it. So corresponding videos. So normally in a face-to-face class, I would show video clips during the presentation. And so I've given you the links to these because I didn't want to include them in the video, a video of a video of a video, it's just getting a little crazy. So I've got the links here, and you can either wait until afterward to watch them, or you can watch them as you go if you're savvy enough with having multiple things going at once on your computer or your phone. I feel like that's a better way, because otherwise it's gonna be hard to really understand why you're watching it. I think that's the best method if you can do it. So they are helpful. I think they provide some good examples and context, so you don't necessarily have to watch the entire thing every time. Sometimes you can get the gist of it within the first minute or so, depending on what the topic is. Okay, so that's course learning units, and I'm going to jump off real quick, so I'm almost out of time with this segment.